You hear cancer and your life flashes before your eyes. I don't care if it's toe cancer, lung cancer, bum cancer, breast cancer, brain cancer. You hear cancer,
yeah,
and your life flashes before your eyes.
Hello, you are listening to the Late Bloomer Living podcast. I'm Yvonne Marchese, your host, and I'm so happy you're here. I created this podcast to give you inspiration and let you know you're not alone in feeling stuck in midlife. I also invite you to join the Age Agitators Club for women, where we come together monthly to hatch our plans for making waves as we age. Being part of this community for women will remind you on a regular basis that you're not too old, and it's never too late to do that thing you've been thinking about. You can find more information at latebloomerliving.com/community, and I hope to see you there. Hello, my friend. Have you ever had a diagnosis for your health or a life situation come up which took you off balance, maybe shifted things in your world and left you feeling like, oh, criminy, what am I going to do now? I'm really excited for you to meet today's guest because I feel like her story is kind of one of those where there's a will, there's a way kind of stories. Her name is Jess Wilson. She's a photographer with over 20 years of experience. She's also the host of the Picture It podcast. During COVID, she was diagnosed with thyroid cancer and she underwent surgery. Can you imagine how scary that was in the middle of COVID? What Jess did to get creative with her need to continue doing photography, keep herself healthy, and all those things is she figured out the secret sauce to doing remote photography sessions for people. And let me tell you something, that is no joke, guys. I thought about doing it. I experimented with a friend of mine. It was all over Zoom. I didn't like the way the photos looked. I couldn't figure out a way to make it happen. I dropped that like a hot potato. Jess dug in and figured out a good way to really do it. And she is, I'm looking at some of the stuff that she's been posting, these photos from her remote services, and my jaw drops because I can't believe what she's able to do. I can't wait to talk to her about this. So, I guess where I'm coming from is with this, where there's a will, there's a way. She found a way to keep her business going and keep herself healthy in the meantime. Oh, did I also mention she was homeschooling her grandkids for like 6 years in the midst of this? How do you run a business and homeschool your grandkids at the same time? Okay, so these are all questions I have. It's an amazing pivot she's made. Jess, thank you so much for being with me today.
Well, thank you, Yvonne, for all of the love and for having me on here. I'm giggling at watching your face as you're saying these things. I'm like, oh no, okay, bring on the questions. Let's go.
Oh my goodness. Well, why don't we go back to what your life looked like pre-COVID for a second and your photography business and what you did. What was that? What was your normal?
By normal for back in that time frame. So um I have to back up a little bit further. We moved from Arizona to Utah about 8 years ago now. And we moved here for my husband's job. And I had been doing my photography business in Arizona for, it's been 20 something years now, like 26, 27 years now, to here today. And I never marketed out of state because I never planned on moving out of state. And I was just your hometown, small town life photographer because I did branding pictures and event pictures for our local businesses. I did birth sessions. I had family sessions. I had senior portraits. We lived 5 minutes down the road from a destination resort that a lot of people came up from the valley to use for weddings. So I shot a lot of weddings. So I called it life photography. When we moved out here to Utah, I had made some connections with some other photographers on Facebook so that I wouldn't totally not know anybody, but that was only like 2 or 3 people. and I had to start from the ground up. So the first year I started trying to just meet people and make connections and get stuff going. And it was hard. It was a struggle. And it was such a struggle that I ended up taking a part-time job that I was working from home while still trying to grow my business. And I ended up giving up for a year. I was like, this is too much. I can't handle it. So I took a year off. And as you know, if you are ever in any industry that you're in, I always say, if I ever say I know everything there is to know about photography, I am a master photographer. Like, that's it. There's no room in this brain for me to learn anything more. Then someone just needs to like take my camera away, because that is so not the case. So I used that year that I took off of actually like trying to do client work, and I focused on personal projects, and I focused on continuing education, learning about different things. And while all of that was going on, I was having different health things that were going on. My hair was falling out. It's normal to lose like 100 hairs a day, like on your head from everybody. But it was like literally I could pull chunks of hair out of my head. Thank goodness that I was blessed with really thick hair. I was having trouble sleeping. I had done a yoga workout and came up and had the room spins, like maybe I had just drank a whole bottle of Fireball all to myself, kind of thing. I don't know if you've ever had room spins from drinking too much, because that's the only time I've ever
Oh
gotten
no,
them,
not me.
that's
No, that's never happened to
like
me.
there's nothing like coming up from a downward dog and having to sit down and being like, whoa, what the heck is going on here? Anyhow, there I gained like 30 pounds that would not go away. And when we lived in Arizona, I went to the gym 5 days a week. I didn't count calories, I counted macros. So I was tracking like my protein intake, my carb intake, my fat intake, my water intake, making sure I get enough sleep, like all of those things. And um, it just like nothing was working the way that it was supposed to work. And when we had left Arizona and moved to Utah, my family had undergone a bunch of trauma. And I had assumed that my body was just doing all of these things to react to the trauma of what was going on, because as mom, as grandma, as leader of the family, I mean, I'm not like the head of the family, that's my husband, but we know that the moms are we're the engine that keeps things going. He's just steering the car. And I figured that it was because I was so busy doing all of that stuff that I wasn't dealing with things the way that I needed to. And so my body was reacting to that because I tend to stuff stuff. Anyhow, ended up being, I went to the doctor. I had the very first doctor. Stop me if I'm going into too much here. I went to the first doctor and he was like, you're just fat. You need to lose like 20 pounds and all of your symptoms will go away. And I looked at him and I was like, and you have horrible bedside manners. Because if you looked at my chart, you would see that I have been lifting weights every single day, 5 days a week, and that I have maintained 175, I'm 5'9", 175 pounds for the last like 12 years. And now all of a sudden, all this stuff is going on and 30 pounds have just showed up out of nowhere with no return address. Like, you're not looking at the notes of what my lifestyle is like or what I've got going on. So you're fired.
Good for
so I
you.
fired him. And I ended up going through, so we've been here in Utah for 8 years. And I want to say, and I had my surgery 3 years ago. So I'm 2021. So I will say between when we moved out here up to 2021, when I had my surgery, I fired probably about 9 doctors. Now, I will add a disclaimer here that I know that I'm very, very, very blessed to be in an area and have insurance coverage that allows me to do that, because not a lot of women have that ability. Some are stuck where they only can go to certain doctors because of their insurance, or there's not enough doctors available in their area that's easy for them to be able to access and get into that will help them, kind of thing. So I understand the blessing that I have in having been able to do that. Couple doctors down the line, and one of them looks at me and was like, oh, you have a goiter. I was like, what's a goiter? He's like, this growth on your neck. I was like, this is not a growth on my neck, this is fat. I just have a fat neck. And he's like, no, it's a goiter. And so then I started looking at it in the mirror after he pointed it out. I was like, oh, we're going to name you. So I named her Lucy. And yeah, I ended up with goiters on my thyroid. I had a lot of misdiagnoses. Like I said, the very first doctor I saw was like, oh, you're just fat. You need to lose weight and something, so I'll go away. Doctor that found the goiter had me tested. I tested for hypothyroidism. There's hypo and hyper. Hypo is the one that makes you gain weight. I always remember that for me. This is not to bother anybody else. Hypo hippo, because that's how I felt. Hyper is where you lose weight and cannot keep on the weight. But all the rest of the symptoms are pretty similar. You have trouble sleeping, you have night sweats, your hair is falling out. Some people have skin issues, blemishes, that kind of thing. Anyhow, so I got diagnosed with that. They did a biopsy. They wanted to do a biopsy on the goiter to see if it was, and the goiter is just where it's a growth on the side of your thyroid. Think of it as kind of like a blister in there that's just growing off the side of your thyroid. So they did a biopsy where they stuck a needle in there and took some cells. You guys, let me tell you, they're like, oh no, you're gonna feel a little bit of pinch. And I'm like, holy hell, that was not a little pinch. And you can't move, you can't swallow, you have to hold your breath for that minute while they're doing it. So they hit just the right spot. It was awful.
Scary. Yikes.
Yeah, it was scary and it was awful. I was like, I'm never doing that again without demanding that they like put me under or give me some laughing gas. I mean, even at the freaking dentist, at least they give you laughing gas. Like it's not just like oh, here's a local, we're going to numb you, but
something for the effort. Oh my
you
goodness.
might feel something. Yeah. Anyhow, the biopsy came back as saying that they felt that it was more than likely that I had thyroid cancer, but it wasn't 100%. It was just more than likely. And I was like, well, they say doctors practice medicine for a reason. You're practicing medicine. Until you can tell me 100% I have thyroid cancer and need to have surgery. Sorry, don't know what to tell you. And they're like, we don't have a test for that. I'm like, there's ways to figure it out. Like you figure it out or you don't, but I'm not doing surgery. So then I embarked on, from the time frame of my diagnosis, about 3 years. Yeah, about 2.5, 3 years. I completely changed how I was eating. I adjusted my supplements that I was taking. I'm very much into woo-woo. So I did some energy healing. I did some generational healing. I made priority for my self-care so that I had time to decompress on the regular and deal with things. Like I said, adjusted my health and nutrition stuff. Started using teas, doing seed cycling, went off birth control, all those things. And I told my doctor and my husband that if the goiters got too big to where it affected me being able to swallow or eat or talk or function normally, that I would agree to go do the surgery, whether they had 100% confirmed cancer or not. That was my agreement with them. So it took about 3 years and I ended up with 2 goiters and I shrank one down to the size of the tip of a ballpoint pen. But the one on the other, with all the things I was doing, but with the one on the other side, it got just big enough where they started to be worried about the size for it. So I had to do the surgery. So I went and did the surgery and they were like, we could take half of it out. We could leave half, da, da, da. And I was like, no, take the whole thing because I will be damned if I'm back in here in the same spot 3 years from now having to do the other side. There's 2 goiters, one on each side.
Yeah, really. I mean, why would you go halfway if they're going in?
Like, I don't want to repeat this. This is not a process that I'm enjoying and want to repeat. So I had them take the whole thing and they ended up taking like 15, I think they're called lymph nodes that were around it and stuff as well. And then they ran their biopsies and it was indeed cancer on both sides in the goiter stuff. And so got it taken care of. I have a pretty little scar to match it now. And
so did the surgery, you're cancer free now. So was that because of the surgery? Did you need other treatments beyond the surgery?
I didn't. I did the surgery and that was all that I needed to do. I mean, obviously the doctors and stuff wanted me to do other things and I was like, no, stuff it. This is what I'm doing. I'm kind of a pain in the ass.
Though, there's something to be said for being a pain in the ass when it comes to knowing your own body and knowing what's okay for you and drawing boundaries. Hey, we're going to take a quick break here because I have a really important question to ask you. Have you played today? Have you? Okay, listen, here's your hall pass. Just in case you feel like you need permission. Oh, maybe you need the mom voice. Remember when she'd say, go outside and play, and then she'd lock you out of the house, and if you wanted water, you'd drink from the hose? Remember those days? Ooh, drinking from the hose? Gross. But mom was right about one thing. She knew that you needed to be outside, mostly maybe so that she wouldn't kill you. But either way, she knew that you needed to be outside. Listen, I'm bringing this up right now because there's a little opportunity coming up for you. On Saturday, May 4th, I am doing the Unlocking Playfulness Play Shop again. It's all about cultivating joy at any age. It's going to be Saturday, May 4th from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. It's a 2-hour play shop that is designed to help you break free from the daily grind and embrace playfulness in every aspect of your life. You can get more information at latebloomerliving.com/play. That is where you'll get all the information and you can sign up. I want you to come play with me on Saturday, May the 4th. That is, traditionally May the 4th be with you day. And being a traditional Star Wars geek, it's my day, man. It's my jam. Okay, there's your official invitation and your permission to just go outside and play today. Or even if you don't go outside, just play. Go. What are you still doing here? No. Actually, stick around because we're going back to my conversation with Jess, and there's a lot of good stuff coming up. And now, back to our regularly scheduled programming. So we've got the background for what was going on for you with, your healing journey. Mm-hmm. And then in the meantime, too, you've got a business. Yeah. When did you get back to business as a service photographer, doing life photography beyond your projects?
That would be the 3rd year that we were here in Utah. And I want to say it was like 2016, 17, somewhere in there.
Gotcha. So by the time all this diagnosis happened, you were back to working as a photographer and
I was back to
that
trying.
Transition.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. Gotcha.
I say trying because I was still new to the state. I was still trying to make connections. I was going to networking meetings in person, trying to meet people, connect with other business owners. So I shifted into focusing more on the branding stuff for the small businesses. And I say try because I was doing all of the things, but you guys, I still wasn't making money. I mean, I would book like a random one-off. Now, granted, all these people I'm still connected with, and I've done multiple projects with, right? But it was very slow going. There was not a whole lot going on, kind of thing.
So when you decided to switch over to virtual, can you talk about how that happened?
Mm-hmm, you bet ya. So I had my surgery and I flew through surgery with flying colors. So my recovery at the hospital was very smooth. I came home. I was supposed to take it easy and have like 6 weeks of not lifting anything heavier than just my body weight to get up off of the bed and go to the bathroom or shower. And during that time, I joined Clubhouse. And I was absolutely loving it. When I first started on Clubhouse, I was advocating for women's health and doing a ton of rooms on a regular basis, talking about health and wellness and advocating for yourself and different autoimmune stuff, like all kinds of health stuff. Anyhow, I had people start to say, I would love to do pictures with you, but I'm in Canada or in Utah. How's that going to work? I'm like, I don't know, because you'd have to pay me a lot to travel to go do pictures right now. And there were a couple of photographers that I had followed during COVID, who were doing the remote sessions. And I was like, that is fantastic. Like, I want to come back to that and look at that a little bit more. I think that's a great idea. Put a pin in it. And then I had my surgery, didn't think anything of it. And then I joined Clubhouse and people were like, I'd love to work with you, but travel, distance, da, da, da. And I was like, oh, those remote sessions. Let me look into that some more. So I pulled that out and I revisited. I looked at how they were offering it. And surprisingly, by the time that I looked at it, not all of them were still offering it. A lot of them had gone back to doing like in-person stuff. And so I was like, oh, there's an opening here. I see a little
Yeah.
crack, the light's coming through. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to mess with this. So you said you started with Zoom. I started with FaceTime. And I had a good friend of mine. She's actually coming out next week and we get to meet in person. We've been like online besties for like 3 years now. And I'm so excited I get to meet her.
That's
She's coming out to stay
exciting.
with me for 3 days so we can do photos in person while she's here and hang out. But I had messaged her. I practiced on her so much. So we would do FaceTime calls and we would do the photo shoot through FaceTime. Now I did the same process as I would if I was in person, which is beforehand we plan a shoot strategy. We plan your props, your location, your outfits, how you're going to use the pictures after, where you're going to use them, so that I know what kind of posing to run you through, like all that stuff. And so we did the pictures, and I think I did like my first 3 or 4 photo shoots with clients, paying clients via FaceTime. They did know that this was the first time I was doing this stuff, so it's not like they didn't know that. And I liked the pictures, but I wasn't too hot on the quality, like how you said with the Zoom stuff. Like the quality, I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know about this. And so then I started doing some more research and I found the Shutter app, which is an app that was made by photographers for photographers during COVID so that they could still do pictures. And the developers are actually like a husband and wife team from like Sweden or somewhere like that. Amazing app. That's what I use now. I messaged Cheyenne and it was like 4 o'clock in the morning and I was like, I think I found it. The thing that's going to replace FaceTime and make it to where I can do these. When you get up, text me or call me and let me know so that we can try it. And she's like, I'm up now. Let's do it now. I'm like, okay.
Wow.
So we're up in the middle of the night doing a photo shoot through this app to check it out and try it. And I was like, okay, I can do this. This is workable. And so that is what I have been doing in this app. So FaceTime, doing it through FaceTime or Zoom, you're going off of the settings and the capabilities of FaceTime or Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
Using this app, I'm going off of the settings and the capabilities of your camera on your phone.
Right. You're
Most
using
people, the
so that
iPhone.
it uses their iPhone. So let's say you're taking my photos. I'm setting up my camera on a tripod in my living room or
Right.
whatever. And you're directing me and going, hey, move your camera over here and you go sit over there. Right. And then just
Yes.
making sure the lighting looks good and all
Yep.
that stuff.
But I'm
And then
fully
you
taking
have the
control of
opportunity to
your
go
camera.
click. Yeah.
Yes. I'm
So
fully like I can
crazy.
adjust the settings on it. I can adjust the lighting on it. I can adjust the focal point on it. So it works with Samsung, Android, and iPhones. But I'm going to use iPhones because most of the people I've worked with so far have iPhones. I have an iPhone, so it's just easier and faster to talk about. Most of our iPhone cameras, you can print almost up to like a poster size. Now, is this something where you like want to hang it into this big beautiful canvas that you hang over the fireplace for generations to come in your manor? No, it's not. But if you want an 8x10 to put on the wall or to put on your desk, or 4x6 to stick on the fridge, or to send to grandma to put on her fridge, if you want prints to put into your family album or prints to put on your wall, and you can get to pretty big size. There's a certain amount of pixels, and if you have that amount of pixels, you can print anything you have on your camera roll up to pretty big sizes, as long as it's a good picture. That's
Right.
that's the thing.
And that's where
So
you come in because that's where your eye takes over. Like, because, we all have these powerful cameras in our
right,
pockets, right? But
yes,
to take photos of myself, selfie mode is like it's very limiting, right? And
yeah,
it's just hard to do, whereas if you've got somebody else's eye on you, that is incredible. I love that you have
right.
figured this out, and I love the quality of the photos that I'm seeing in your portfolio. And
Yeah, thank
yeah,
you.
it's so
I want
great
to
that
point
you
out it's
sorted.
more than just the eye, it's the knowledge from all the years of experience behind that eye.
Yes, yes.
Because everyone can take a beautiful picture. Everyone can be a photographer. Everyone can pick up the button and push the button and take the beautiful picture. But not everybody is going to know, okay, like 95% of people have these kinds of insecurities about these parts of the shapes of their body, or how this angle or this light is going to do this for my final product, or the final image that I want, kind of thing. And that is what you get when you work with a professional. That's what you're paying for, is for the heart and soul and the education and the experiences and the knowledge base that has come with that photographer and their years of experience and how they're perceiving things and how they're going to make it better for you. Just want to throw that out there.
Spot on, man. Preach. You might point a camera somewhere and click the button and get a good shot, but
Right.
to do that consistently, to make another person comfortable in front of a camera, there's some
Right.
skill involved
Right.
there that comes
Right.
from years.
There's got to be a little know-how.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that you have figured all of this out and made it work despite and around the challenges. I don't know how you have fitted into doing the homeschooling for your grandkids in the meantime, too.
Very, very structured calendar. If it is not on my calendar, it's not going to happen. Like, there are no ands, ifs, or buts about it, because if it's not on my calendar, that's usually my time that I am getting to rest and unplug. So my health is number one priority. My family is number two, right behind my health, because I have to be feeling good and healthy to take care of them. And then my business comes after that. And so I call it a come to Jesus talk about what my schedule looked like and what was most important to me and how to make all of that work and fit into it. And that was what I came up with. So
yeah. So the whole experience of being diagnosed with thyroid cancer and going through the healing process and pivoting your business, what have you learned about yourself?
I would love to say that I had like this wonderful earth-shattering light bulb moment. But I really, well, I guess I do. To say I really don't, because I feel like I'm kind of the same person, same values, characteristics, perspective as I had before, with the exception that it did flip my give an F button. I don't know if I'm allowed to cuss on here, so I'll just call it that, my give an F button. And that give an F button was, you hear cancer and your life flashes before your eyes. I don't care if it's toe cancer, lung cancer, bum cancer, breast cancer, brain cancer. You hear cancer,
Yeah.
and your life flashes before your eyes.
Yes.
And the fact that I got that diagnosis, and it was kind of like, okay, we're going to figure out what we need to do, and we're just going to do it. But in doing all of that, I realized how much people pleasing that I've done, how much clients in my business, in my family, with my friends. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that anymore. And then also with my husband, it just made it to where there were things that I had let coast before, where I was like, no, life is too short. And I don't have the time, the energy, or the patience to deal with this BS anymore. Like, these are my boundaries. You go by them or you don't. And if you don't, that's fine. No harm, no foul. I can still be friendly with people. I can still be professional people. I can still smile and say, hello, how are you? And actually really care about how you're doing, kind of thing. Or we could just have no contact, depending on how you're trying to violate what my boundaries are, kind of thing. So I guess that would be the thing, is that it helped me it flipped my give an F switch, because before I might have been like, oh, I don't want to say that. I don't want them to think I'm being an asshole. I don't want to hurt their feelings. But now I'm okay with like, hey, you may think that, and I may hurt your feelings, and that's not my intention, but you don't get to talk to me like that. You don't get to treat me like that, or you don't get to tell me what to do. I'm the boss. You know what I mean? So that would probably be my biggest thing, is that my give an F button got flipped to where I still give an F, just not about as much stuff that really doesn't matter as I used to before the whole diagnosis.
Yeah. Yeah. What was it I saw recently that was like, it's that whole idea of peace at any price. It's like,
Yeah.
it's like, nope, no more of that peace at any price. It really, yeah, learning to set boundaries.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
It's made a big difference. The not having to do the piece at any price anymore has been amazing. Like it is life changing to not have that energy weight going with you everywhere you go throughout your life, because it's just gone once you set those boundaries. Anyhow, I'm gonna get like too into that. That's a whole nother conversation. That would be what I learned.
Oh my goodness, that is incredible, incredible. So how can people find you if somebody needs a remote session from you, or what's the best place for people to follow up with you?
Okay. Well, thank you. So I am on all of the platforms. It's at J Wilson Pics. I hang out the most on Instagram and Clubhouse. And then, of course, my website has links to all of the different platforms. So you can pick one from your choice on my website. And I do headshots and branding sessions. And I do couples/sweetheart sessions. And I also have some courses. I've got a family photo challenge that people can do. I've got a custom content coaching program that I offer where I walk them through what their content buckets are, the hashtags that go with those buckets. Also, I just launched my iPhone photography basics for your business webinar. It's pre-recorded. I did it live and it was a lot of fun. And so I put it out for the recording so that people can go and do it at their own pace and learn from that.
That's fantastic.
That's stuff.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, I will have links in the show notes for anybody who wants to get in touch with Jess afterwards. So if you're driving right now, no worries. I got you covered. You can just head over to Late Bloomer Living and you'll find it in the show notes. All right. Jess, thank you so much for being with me today. It's been a pleasure.
It has been. Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Well, there you have it. Jess is such a great example of taking the curveballs that life throws your way and turning them around. She found innovative ways to continue her photography business while prioritizing her health. She's learned to set boundaries. I can still work on that, people. I'll just tell you that right now. And I'm just completely inspired by what she's doing with her photography business. You should go check her out. Check out what she's doing. It's J Wilson Pics, Pix. And I will have that information for you in the show notes. You can check her out on Instagram as well, over on the gram. And hey, just a reminder, Mother's Day is right around the corner, and I have the perfect little gift that you could hint to, the hubby or the kids or somebody and say, hey, there's this cute little book called In Full Bloom by Yvonne Marchese that would be such a perfect little Mother's Day gift for me. I'm just saying. Okay. Oh man, I've clearly tickled myself. There you go. Hey, thank you so much for being with me today and sticking here to the end when I'm clearly punchy and all the things. And just thanks so much for listening. I hope you have a fantastic week. Stay safe and well, and we'll talk soon. Bye now.